If you're an entrepreneur and your business is not yet registered, if you're looking to grow your registered business, or you're an accomplished professional. Our Elevate program supports you with access to finance, access to markets, access to capacity building. Sign up now or refer a friend at ecobank.com/elevate. Elevate by Ecobank. A better way, a better Africa.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With Ecobank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as Ecobank mobile app, Ecobank Online and Ecobank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the Ecobank mobile app. Open the Ecobank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via Ecobank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to Ecobank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any Ecobank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Santa Yala.
Lekar, utul wave, nga scan, nga fay, nak doo ci yokku dara.
But first, I'm joined by two World Bank officials for a sponsored conversation on the Gambia's economic future. With me is Jibrila Issa, World Bank Division Director covering the Gambia. He's visiting the country for the very first time. Alongside him is Franklin Mutahakana, the World Bank Group's Banjul resident representative. He's been on the program before. Together, they'll address pressing issues from the rising cost of living and food security to the ongoing energy crisis, debt coordination with the IMF, and opportunities for young Gambians. Jibrila and Franklin, welcome both to West Coast Radio.
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Jibrila.
Peter. Thank you very much.
Thanks for visiting our country for the very first time. As Division Director of the World Bank, what made you officially come, and what have you seen so far that has struck you?
Thank you. Listen, I've been World Bank Group Country Director for the Gambia, Senegal, Mauritania, Cabo Verde, and Guinea-Bissau for like 2 months now. So this is my first visit indeed to the Gambia, and I'm very glad to be here. I'm here for 2 or 3 things. One is to meet the authorities, to meet the government officials, private sector, the media, civil society organizations, and to visit project sites, government project that we're funding, just to understand and to listen, to see the government priorities. So we had the opportunity to meet with His Excellency President Barrow and government officials to understand indeed what are the Gambia's development priorities, and how we can better support the Gambia to achieve its own goals. So this is the first objective. The second objective is also I came here as part of a World Bank Group delegation attending the African Caucus. The Africa Caucus is a gathering of World Bank and IMF governors, which are the ministries of finance and central bank governors. And this is an annual gathering, so Gambia is heading this year, caucus. The Gambia Minister of Finance is the president of the caucus. So the meeting is about listening to all African countries and to understand their priorities and how the World Bank and IMF can help them and can support them better. So this is the second objective of the caucus. And of course, third is also to meet with the World Bank country office here to see the staff working on the ground and to see how I can better support them from Dakar. So this is really the objective of my presence here. So I'm here to listen. Listening is very, very important. I think it's even fundamental when you would like to help someone. And I've heard a lot so far. So we'll be happy to share, my takeaways from what I've done so far.
Okay, so you're here to listen. Have you heard anything of interest to you? And if yes, what? And you're also here to look, I suppose. Have you seen anything so far that has struck you?
Listen, I drove from Senegal, from Dakar to the Gambia, to Banjul, which helped me see really on the way what Gambia looks like, and to also meet people at the border just to discuss and to get the feeling of what people would like us to do. This is one. I was able also to visit some of the project site hospitals, and we meet with young entrepreneurs, the private sector. What came, I think, my first takeaway is really people are looking for opportunities, jobs. And this is also on the government agenda, how to create jobs for the Gambians. And this is really fundamental. And how to just put things like energy, have access to school, education, the agriculture sector. So these are really the priorities of the Gambian authorities, and we're happy to help the Gambia achieve those goals.
The Gambia is a small economy. Does it get enough attention from the World Bank compared to larger African countries?
Any country we work in really matters. And we work on social and economic development, so well-being for people. Having a job for a Gambian is as important as having a job for someone who's not a Gambian in a bigger country. And the World Bank, if you look at what we do here, we have what we call a portfolio. So the investment that we provided to support the government of Gambia is around 900 million USD, 900 million USD in various sectors, social sectors, so education, health, social protection, to build schools, to build hospitals, to provide training. It's also in the infrastructure sector, energy, so people can have access to energy, schools, of course, small businesses, hospitals have access to energy, but also agriculture. So this is also an area in which we invest a lot. This is a big sector and important sector for the Gambia, how agriculture can be productive, can create the jobs that are needed. So yes, people are our kind of the center of what we do. So a Gambian is worth as any other person. So we really we don't make any distinction, based on the size of the country. Indeed.
I'm going to talk about something that is global: cost of living. It's hitting Gambian families hard. prices are up, jobs are hard to find. What is the World Bank Group doing about the day-to-day struggles of ordinary people? And maybe at some stage, Franklin here would like to chip in.
Indeed. Listen, I think over the past few years, we've seen a lot of shocks. COVID-19 in 2020, 2021. We've seen the war on Ukraine, now the Middle East crisis. And a lot of families, around the world are struggling, and Gambians are also struggling. So this is a reality, and we heard what people are, telling us. At the World Bank, we're doing two things to help the Gambia specifically. One, we've just approved what we called an emergency project, which would allow Gambia to have access to IDA resources. IDA, for your listeners, stands for the International Development Association, that provide soft kind of financing, concessional financing to countries. So this project is in the magnitude of 35 million USD, so for the government to be able to provide social protection to finance energies and buy fertilizers for the country. So this is in the really short run. But in the longer run, we're also investing in, for growth, for job creation in many sectors, as I mentioned, agriculture, energy, and skills, human capital. So that's what we're doing. So in the longer run, this would help create the jobs and the opportunity that all Gambians are looking for.
Franklin, would you like to, at this point, have a first word?
So thank you very much, Peter, and it is really a pleasure to be back at the station here. Just to build on what Jibrila has indicated, so the emergency program is called the Contingency Emergency Response Program. And really that one is a fast disbursing activity that is meant to help countries quickly address emergency situations. It's not, just for clarity, it's not new money. It's really reallocating resources that are already available under the programs that we already support, but now trying to redirect them specifically to address specific emergencies that have come up, not because of the country's making or their choice, but they find that they have to actually make them. So this is something that is going to be very helpful in terms of supporting the country's ability to provide energy for its population, the country's ability to buy fertilizers. We are now just in the rainy season has just started, so we need to make sure that we have adequate fertilizers to be able to have food production come the harvest season. So those are some of the areas that this contingency will provide support in. And of course, in the social protection area, in terms of targeting the households that are most vulnerable. And already the social protection program in the Gambia is actually very robust. We have a clear social registry, well developed. So it helps the government to be able to have better targeted support to actually households that specifically require these resources. But Peter, before I leave the microphone, I wanted to go back quickly to a question you raised on the Gambia being a small economy and what the importance could be. Mm-hmm. And just to build on what, again, Jibrila had indicated, as he mentioned, to the World Bank Group, small or big, each country is a member state. So we provide, as an institution, we provide resources and support as necessary for that country. But the Gambia has also made a lot of strides. And I'll give two examples where the Gambia is a shining almost example, and we are using that to provide experiences to other countries. Oh. One of the areas is on domestic revenue mobilization, in terms of the growth of domestic revenue mobilization that the country has been able to achieve because of the reforms that have been undertaken. And that has grown almost, I think, 3 or 4-fold. This is why the government has also been able to have sufficient resources to undertake some infrastructure with its own resources. And that is a very big plus. The second area is actually in the energy sector in terms of access. The Gambia is currently a potential to be the first among the first countries, if not, I would actually say the first country in the West African region to achieve universal access by the 2030 goal that has been set in terms of where it has reached with universal access. Yeah. So those are two examples which, to me, would demonstrate to anybody that it's not just about saying we're a small economy. No. We may be small in terms of population and geographical size, but actually we are big in terms of the impact and what we can actually share with the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, access is one thing, availability another. As you know, there's an ongoing energy crisis. Load shedding is affecting businesses and families every day. Is the World Bank Group doing anything concrete to support the country in addressing this issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. It was meant for Franklin. But you can take the lead. Take the lead, Jibrila.
No, go ahead. But I'm going to start in the Franklin. Of course, we compliment. Yeah. He is on the ground, so he knows the specificity of our program, of course. But what we do at the World Bank for energy is three things, as you said, is production, transmission, and distribution. The bottom line is for people to have access to energy, i.e. families, so household, schools, small businesses, of course, health centers to have access to energy. On the production side, we've just approved a $50 million USD, 50 million USD indeed, energy operation to support the Gambia in terms of increasing the production and transmission. The World Bank has also supported Gambia to put a 23 megawatt solar facility, and we're working with the government again to help them bring about 50 million megawatt additional. So which would help Gambia have the enough supply of energy in terms of production. Now this has to be, as you said, transmission and of course transported and distributed to the population. So that's the bottom line. And we're also working with is that NAWEC?
Yes.
Yes. Just to work them to see how we can improve also, the transmission of the energy and distribution to small families. Energy transition is critical. The Gambia is working on solar to bring the cost down. Regional cooperation is important. So Gambia is working also with neighboring countries, Senegal, but of course Guinea, and to see how Gambia can be independent or self-sufficient in terms of production, but also working with other countries to secure enough energy production. And the highlight that Franklin made is, it's worth really kind of, mentioning, is this universal access to energy that Gambia is poised to achieve by 2030, I believe. So this is really a huge achievement.
Fantastic. Man on the ground?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jibrila. To build exactly on what Jibrila has indicated, so the World Bank in the Gambia has provided support for the energy sector, and it is really the support in the energy sector is at the center of what we are doing currently, because with energy then you're able to kickstart private sector and all the like. Now, in terms of the actual support to the energy sector, as Jibrila indicated, the support has been in all the three subsectors of the electricity sector. This is the generation, transmission, and distribution. In the long run, these are the areas that you need to be able to have the reliability of power and eventually the affordability. Because previously, when transmission lines were not efficient, distribution lines were not efficient, of course the generation was also not efficient, there were a lot of both technical and commercial losses that the sector was facing, and these were being transmitted directly to the customers. So by addressing these three areas, we are working towards minimizing the costs that are involved, or that the NAWEC was incurring in those areas. And specifically, the focus is also on diversifying the energy sources. So we are all aware that the Gambia currently is importing most of the electricity in the country. Now, importing means you are actually relying on your neighbors. So whatever happens to them then has immediately an impact on you. But for the country to be able to have energy security, the focus is on how do we build our own generation capacity. And one of the niches that the Gambia really has is in solar. So already with public resources, there is a 23 megawatt plant in Jambul that is already operational, and based on the experiences from that one, we are currently discussing with government. Gibrella mentioned 50, but 50 is just one phase. I will say it's 150 megawatts in 2 phases. So 50 megawatts almost immediate. The discussions are almost at financial close, and then 100 megawatts after that. Now that will put a significant amount of energy source into the Gambia, and at that point the Gambia wouldn't even need to rely on imported. If anything, it will even have the capacity to be able to export, because the solar energy is really the cheapest source of energy. So in a nutshell, I would say as an institution, we do understand the challenges, but we are also working very hard with the government to make sure that we address these challenges because of the ripple effects that energy has on various other sectors.
Every time we talk about the World Bank and IMF, here in the Gambia, people think straight away, Gibrilla, about debt levels. And debt levels and IMF program conditions are often in the news all over the country. How does the World Bank Group coordinate with the IMF?
You know, the World Bank and IMF, just for your listeners, they've been created at the same time. And since the creation, we've been created to be complementary. The IMF focuses mostly on what we call macroeconomic and fiscal stability, i.e., how the economy and the budget is run. So this is what it is. This is important because this is really it's a foundation for economic stability. At the World Bank, we focus on those. We coordinate with the IMF on the macro stability, but our main focus is on longer-term structural investment for job creation, for education, for institution building, for agriculture, everything that would create, the opportunities for the economy to grow, to create jobs, so people well-being, is increased. So that's what we do. So just to conclude on that, so we coordinate and we collaborate, and we've been created for that reason. And just to come back to death, debt is just something that we all use as a person, as a household, as a country to finance investment. If you don't have the resources, you go to a bank to get resources to invest. What's important is, what do you take as a debt? What amount? What for? And when you contract the debt. What you do for debt is to invest it so it can generate, financial returns, or just opportunities and growth for you and for the country, if it's a household, for your family. So that's what it is. Just to be very specific about that. So complementarity, and we work together hand in hand on the Gambia, and we talk to the authorities all the time just to coordinate our efforts.
Fantastic. Well, food security, I'm sure, is very important, and we haven't got into agriculture yet. And this is a question for both of you. Agriculture, as I'm sure you know, Franklin, employs a large share of Gambians, and food prices remain high. So the question, starting with you, Gibrilla, what is the World Bank Group doing in terms of food security and agriculture?
Yeah. I think, as you rightly said, agriculture is an important sector for the Gambia. It's roughly, say, 25% of the economy. A lot of people live and work in agriculture, and they get their livelihood from agriculture. So this is really a critical sector. But if you look at it also from the perspective of country development, all the countries that have developed, they really invested a lot in their agriculture sector, and they've made this what we call structural transformation, agriculture, agribusiness, but also going to manufacturing and then services. So agriculture is a start. So we need to invest a lot in agriculture, as Gambia is doing, for the people to modernize agriculture, for agriculture to be much more competitive and to be productive, so people can have higher yields for what they do. They can use, small farmers can grow, they can be connected to the market. So at the World Bank, what we do, again, 3 things. We invest in infrastructure that would allow, farmers to have access to the market, roads. we support the government effort to invest in energy again. So farmers can also have access to energy. They have access to healthcare, to schools. So this is one, infrastructure. We also invest in skills. So skills is people have the skills to, move from subsistence agriculture to much more productive agriculture. And we invest also in policies. So how, government policies can help, the farmers in terms of how they can get the fertilizer that they need, how they can get access to market also based on what they do. So this is really what we're doing in agriculture. I'm going to ask Franklin to come here and talk about a specific agriculture project that the World Bank has financed here in the Gambia. It's called Giraffe, if I believe, and then he can give you maybe the flavor of this operation.
Your boss knows more than I thought he does. Huh?
So thank you very much, Jibrila. And indeed, in the Gambia, the World Bank Group is supporting the agriculture sector through the Gambia Inclusive and Resilient Agriculture Value Chain Development Project, Giraffe. So as Jibrila has indicated, that is the project that really is supporting the sector. This is a 108 million in terms of the amount that we have invested in.
108 million US dollars.
US dollars, yes. Now, the focus of the Giraffe project is, I think, 3 or 4-fold. The first one is on productivity. How do we increase productivity? And in increasing productivity, we are supporting the use of improved technologies in terms of seeds, in terms of irrigation, which is really smart agriculture, given the challenges that the country faces in terms of drought, not drought necessarily, but poor rains or lack of rains. So that is one area of the productivity. The second area is developing the value chain for agriculture. So developing the fact that you are producing, there is a level of processing and all the way up to the market. That is the second part. The third part is now making sure that the factors within that value chain have the capacity to be able to then add value going forward. And under that, we have what we call the matching grant, which has then identified potential agribusiness activities. And these are mostly MSMEs, and significantly, they are also mostly women-led. And a big number of them are women-led. So once these are identified based on a particular criteria that has been set, they are then helped in understanding how do you make sure that agriculture becomes a business. So we are trying to see how do we transform subsistence agriculture to commercialized agriculture. And that is where the households will, one, be able to get their own to eat, but they are also able to earn something out of their labor in the agriculture sector. So that is the second one. The third one was now to improve the connectivity. Remember, we talked about production, but we also talked about the market. And then there is that link. So within that project also, we have an element that is looking at improving the connectivity. And I think it was 2-3 months ago when, with His Excellency, we commissioned, launched actually, a 204 kilometer feeder roads program under the Giraffe project. The aim of that particular program is not just building the roads. It's really trying to connect the farmers to the markets, to make sure that it is easy for them to be able to move their resources from the farms to the market. One other area I should have mentioned when I talked about the value chain is agro-logistics centers. So to be able to support the farmers in terms of making sure that post-harvest losses are minimized. Because one of the other challenges that farmers have been facing is they are able to produce, but because the markets were not accessible, they didn't even know where to take the foods. Some of the foods were actually lost after harvesting. Now, to improve that, this particular Giraffe project, under it, there are 2 investments that have been made in what we call agro-logistics centers. These are integrated structures that provide the farmers with the advice in terms of how they farm, but also provide the opportunity for post-harvest management. And I think there are two of them. One is in Farafenni and one is in Wasu. They are almost complete as we speak. And these will be game changers in terms of how farmers are able now to access facilities that will then support them on going forward.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And just to wrap up, because it's almost 8:30. A question for both of you. As you walked into the studio, Jibrila, I said to you, look around, and I'm most likely the odd person out because all around me I have 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. In other words, it's a very youthful population that the Gambia has. What is your personal message to these young people as you wrap up your first visit?
Listen, the first message is stay engaged. Challenge us. We're here to support. Help us identify what we need to do to course correct if that's needed, and really stay engaged. So that's really the one important message. One takeaway also when I have discussed with government officials and the young people is jobs, as you say. So job creation is critical, and this is really the North Star of what we're going to do. So this is one takeaway, and we're going to work with the government to help create the jobs that are needed in the Gambia for the young population. And we do it by doing a few things, right? Using our own operation that we're financing here in infrastructure, energy, digital, but also in the human capital. This is really critical. And my plea to the young people is invest in your human capital, your capital. This is really an investment. Another message is take risks. Venture to create businesses. And this is really what's going to make this country grow and develop and to transform structurally. All countries that have done it, they've done it based on the young population. And you look at countries in Asia, the Koreas, the Vietnams, they've used this dynamic young population to create, to innovate. And this is the way to the future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And man on the ground, you know the problem here.
Yeah, I know.
We talk about,
indeed.
The back way and all of that.
Yes,
apparently, all our young people want to leave the country. What's your message?
So, building again on what Jibrila has indicated, the issue is about what opportunities can we support to create in the country so that our young population can remain here. The World Bank Group has provided and continues to provide support in terms of skills development to be able to skill them so that they are ready for the opportunities that will definitely come up once the economy is growing. But the other key area is really the development of the private sector. Because, again, the jobs that will need to be created, the best focus or the best opportunity is through the private sector because they have the capacity to produce the jobs at scale. The government, working with the bank, we're creating the enabling environment for private sector development. And once private sector development picks up, then the jobs start getting created. But as the youths, they need to then be prepared for these jobs, and that's where the skills development comes in. And key areas that we have been focusing on for skills include even the tourism sector, because tourism, again, remains one of our biggest sectors as an economy. Absolutely. So this is an area we are working on. In fact, as we speak, from here we are going to have engagements with the Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Training Institute.
Fantastic.
To see how.
Fantastic.
Thank you very
Good luck.
much.
Franklin, thanks for coming. Jibrila, thank you so very much for coming. That was our exclusive conversation with Jibrila Issa, the World Bank Division's Director covering the Gambia, and Franklin Mutahakana, the bank's resident representative here in the Gambia.
If you're an entrepreneur and your business is not yet registered, if you're looking to grow your registered business, or you're an accomplished professional. Our Elevate program supports you with access to finance, access to markets, access to capacity building. Sign up now or refer a friend at ecobank.com/elevate. Elevate by Ecobank. A better way, a better Africa.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With Ecobank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as Ecobank mobile app, Ecobank Online and Ecobank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the Ecobank mobile app. Open the Ecobank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via Ecobank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to Ecobank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any Ecobank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.